Podcast. I am in the studio, and around the United States, we have Marty, Chris, and Oriskany Jim is in house because, of course, we had to bait him with one of the best topics ever on the show. What is the greatest war game ever? That and the news and more right here on the podcast. Stand by as we go live in 3, 2, 1.
Big Duke 6 Eagle Thrust. Put on War off. Sing it loud. Into the Romeo Foxtrot. Shall we dance?
You are listening to the Sitrep Podcast, your source for everything related to historical wargaming. Whether you are looking for the latest wargaming news, reviews, painting tutorials, or playthroughs, you will hear about it right here. So grab your favorite beverage or brush and let's hit it.
All right, we are back, and the gang is all here. Welcome to everybody that's joining us live and in color. And we are going to catch up on some news and some hobbying and some whatnots. And then we're going to talk about what is the greatest war game ever. Historical war game. Let's make sure we get that down.
Yeah.
Historical. Okay. So, as always, as tradition, we like to start off with what you've been up to in the world of hobbying and wargaming. Who do we start with? Chris. Go.
So, as always, I'm trying to improve the foxhole.
I'm sorry, the what?
Foxhole. Just the old saying.
Oh.
And when you got time, you
Position
always improve.
improvement.
Yep. Trying to get the laser back online after the move. Got everything rewired, and something's not quite right, but it takes a while.
All right. Cool. Marty.
Well, I'll start off with something that Chris could have said, but he didn't. We went out to one of our local bottle shops, which is a fancy name for a place that brews beer and sells beer only in their tasting room, for their game night, and we played a couple of games. So did that last Wednesday night. I've been working on my modern dudes, my Western guys. I've got them base coated now, so got some colors coming along there. I'm looking forward to getting those done, and I have made some progress on my 2x2 Afghanistan village board. So
nice.
It's still all white, so I haven't posted any pictures of it because every time I try to, they're just all blasted white. You can't tell the difference between where walls are and shut. So
sure.
Soon to change, because I'm going to try for the first time using clay to make the walls. So the walls are made out of foam, but I'm going to overlay it with clay. So I'm going to try that. That'll be a first for me. And I bought 10 pounds of clay thinking, oh, that'll go. And then it came in this little tiny box. I'm like, I might have underestimated the amount that I need.
Mm-hmm. It's going to add a lot of weight to your board, isn't it?
Potentially. I'm going to try and keep it
10 pounds if it's only this big and you need more ore.
Yeah. I mean, the board's sturdy. It'll hold it, but it might end up being a really beefy board.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that. But that's pretty much what I've done over the past couple of weeks.
So
don't forget a couple of things.
What's that?
At least one thing. Marty's also working on his portable studio.
His portable studio. Do tell.
No, he's talking about I bought a camper.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think Donna's going to call that the portable studio or allow you to have your crafting.
Nah. Hobbying, thank you. I mean, he's not wrong, but no, that is not the jump hawk.
Yeah.
Anyway, it can be.
The fob.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Oriskany Jim, sir. We haven't seen you in a while. I think you've been buried under computers and games, and you had a little PC equipment issue. Fill us in, sir.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on since I was last on the podcast. Apologies for my rather enforced and elongated absence. We are finally wrapping up with a finale that goes out tomorrow. Our 80th anniversary series of discussions and war games commemorating the 80th anniversary of the Battle of Kursk. We've now finished 5 or 6 games in that series. So we've done Cherkaskoye, we've done Verkopenie, we've done Paniri, Prokhorovka, and out tomorrow comes the salvaged game. Again, the original footage was lost in that hard drive failure at Rumyatsev, Operation Rumyatsev. So already it's passing 3,000 combined views on our YouTube channel. It's been a great success. Thanks very much, everyone, for all the support that the community has shown us on that. And yeah, it's been a hell of a lot of work. And on top of that was also the 80th anniversary coverage of Sicily. We had 2 games there. We had the 82nd Airborne represented at Biazzo Ridge, where they kind of stopped me in my tracks with my 3 Tigers, no less. I did win on a technicality, but I'm not going to lie. The 82nd did kind of stop me from breaking through to the Gala Beach, I should say, where 45th U.S. Infantry was trying to come ashore. We also did Primasol Bridge, where we took Mr. John Frost and turned him into the human hibachi. We cooked him alive with an Italian flamethrower. That was very fun. And yeah, it's been a lot of recovery because we had I had a hard drive failure, and while 95 to 98% of my stuff was backed up, 5 to 2% wasn't. And 5 to 2% of what I do for SitRep Podcast turns out it's a lot. So it's been a lot of rebuilding assets, re-downloading music, I mean, it's been a lot to sort of get that back up and running. So that's 99% done now. We're back in business. We've had some pretty good games. We're trying to get back to our modern roots with some Vietnam stuff. There is some French Indochina action coming out soon. And last but not least, yeah, getting ready with the Mogadishu board for the upcoming 30th anniversary of, Gothic Serpent, the Battle of Mogadishu, 3 October 1993. So it's not till October, but that means you got to start working on it now because it takes a couple months to get this stuff ready. That game is going to be played on the 26th of August. That's just so I have the footage in the can and ready to go. And the reason, again, for such amount of lead time is, again, building a video takes at least 20 to 30 hours. It's usually 60 rules, 60 minutes for 60 minutes to build 60 seconds of footage. And also that first week in October is the 50th anniversary of Yom Kippur, the biggest Arab-Israeli war there ever was. So I have to get ready for that too.
Of course.
We're going to be getting those games going through September, and again, for hopeful presentation sometime in October.
Yeah. Yeah, we know that the Arab-Israeli wars is kind of like a special place in your heart.
Me and a lot of members of our community. Yeah, it's one of the big it's one of the big like favorite things to talk about as far as like modern combat goes, because a lot of times modern combat is some kind of counterinsurgency or guerrilla operation or something like that. Arab-Israeli wars is one of the few where it's 2 stand-up armies out in the field having tank, artillery, and aircraft battles, like we like to do.
Yep.
It's like World War II, the sequel, at least the early ones. Also, it's one of the few times that the better side with the smaller number of units are genuinely the air quote good guys. A lot of times, everyone likes to be the underdog. They like to be the small elite, air quote space marine force up against a horde of orcs coming at them. The problem is in World War II, that's usually the Germans. And you can say the same thing about some other wars going further back in history. So it's one of the few times that you get to play that small elite force and be, again, I don't want to get super political here, but be what most people consider to be the right side of history. You could almost say that about Vietnam too, but again, Vietnam was usually a counterinsurgency warfare, and in most battles, the Americans outnumbered the Vietnamese in most of those battles. So it's usually the Arab-Israeli wars are one of the only times you can really sink your teeth into that kind of material.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. That's a lot on the table. So I don't know if you saw the comment, but someone asked if there will be a Black Hawk on the table.
Yes, there will be a Blackhawk on the table.
Yeah.
I have Blackhawks in 4 scales now. I don't know why I have them in 4 different scales.
Because you can never have enough Blackhawks.
I would rather have 2 in the same scale, but yes, there will be a Crash Blackhawk on the table. The one helicopter I still have to build. Hopefully, I'll be making a video on that. I'll see how that works out. I still have to build that 20 millimeter little bird,
Nice.
MH6 little bird.
Yeah.
So that's the one I don't have yet. I do have the kit for it. I still have to build it.
Nice. Funny story is the other day on the way home from work, I'm just, the highway I take to get home from the hospital is pretty wooded. And all of a sudden, just right over the top of the trees comes 4 little birds.
Nice.
And there's dudes sitting on the benches, and they're just looking around. I was like, oh, yeah. That was really cool. So
Good.
we
good to know
see
that
them all
you
the
kept
time.
on-
I mean,
You stayed on the road.
yeah, I was, and then a little further down, I saw 2 Apaches, and then last night we had Chinooks flying over our house left and right and center. It was a good night. If you love helicopters, this is a great place to live. It
Just
really
one-
is.
Just one of the many sounds of freedom that you can
Yes.
hear here.
Yeah.
And those damn Chinooks were flying so low, all the windows in the house are rattling. It was great. So, all right, welcome everybody that's joined us.
Yep.
Yeah, we got quite the crowd.
Tuffy Ears
already.
is
Yeah.
back in the house. Where the hell have you been, Tuffy Ears?
You missed
She
it
was-
earlier. Bill
was
was
ghost
having
hunting.
issues.
We're just gonna put it out there. Tuffy Ears is like the 5th. She's like that 5th Beatle, right?
Yeah.
Isn't the Beatles had the 5th the 5th member?
Well,
Allegedly.
Yeah.
So let me catch you up on what I've been up to. We went to Gen Con. Last Saturday we went to Gen Con. We did a last minute decision to go to Gen Con. So we kind of shot from the hip and
why
went-
playing anything?
right?
Yeah.
And and they we got in Friday night. It's not a bad drive from our house. It's like 4.5 hours. And then we checked in, and then Saturday morning we got up and we went. And I'll tell you what, we are out of convention shape. We have to get back into convention shape. But by the end of the day, we were hurting, and it was so packed. I mean, it was so. There were so many people. It was at some points I really wanted to take the backpack and just start swinging down the aisle to move people out of the way. It was
Maybe your return to conventions shouldn't have been the largest convention with over 70,000 people and like the
85.
entire downtown of Indianapolis.
Oh, and
I'm sorry, Tough Ears. We will not sack you.
and Bill went on
You're already
Saturday.
famous here, or perhaps infamous, however you look at it.
Right. So
Okay.
we
You
met up
guys
with
went on Saturday too.
yeah, we went on the busiest day,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did not get around to we did not achieve our 100% objective. We probably got about 40% of what we wanted to do. Because we met with Ronnie from Mantic. I had a nice conversation with him. We met Carlos from oh my god, how is it? From Infinity Miniatures.
Okay. Corvus Belli?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Why, and then we talked to the guys at Firelock, and
Yeah.
we
Mike
purchased
Nunez
a new
and-
2-player starter set. Holy moly, is that nice?
Yeah, I've got it.
Really nice.
Yeah.
So we got one of those, and then we met with the guys at Modifius, and
How's Gregoire and Alicia?
good, very good. And
They-
so Dawn got this new RPG hybrid RPG. So there was a lot of stuff. We met with some people. NashCon is next weekend. We might go. That's an HMGS event. We might go on Saturday. Check it out. And because we're supposed to fly down to the Keys Sunday, because Dawn's got some stuff to do. But yeah, we've done that, and I posted the video of the train. We met up with Kirk from Miniature Building Authority, and I posted some of the train I bought because he told us this was going to be his last Gen Con because he's getting old, and it's just a lot of work, right? So but he'll still be at like Adepticon, Historicon, those kind of things. But Gen Con probably not so much. So a lot of good networking. We've met with a couple other people to work on some stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how the future goes.
So
Yeah.
question about NBA and Kurt. So he's not going, but will NBA still be represented there? Is he
No.
something else or no?
I don't think so.
Alright.
I don't think because his partner retired last year, so it's pretty much him and a couple. I don't know if they're volunteers or help, but no, I think he's going to scale back to the smaller conventions.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So yeah. So and I know we had folks reach out to us from HMGS Midwest.
Yep.
They want us to cover a show. When is that show? October?
It is the end of September into the beginning of October
Okay.
that weekend. I think it's the 30th through the 2nd.
Okay. Have
Question
you reached
mark?
out to them yet about what I messaged you?
I have not
Okay.
talked to him yet because I figured we should all have a chat here first before
That
I
sounds good.
start
That sounds
obligating us to things.
Tough ears. All right. So that's pretty much what we've done in hobby time. Marty? It's that
Tuffy. Wait a minute. Tuffy ears.
Listen up, people. It is time for the news with Marty. What in the wide of world wargaming is going on? Let's in on the scuttlebutt. Bring on the awesomeness that is wargaming.
All right. Special news alert. Breaking news. Marty's not a demon. Tuffy ears. Although that course sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. So let's do this.
All right.
The first one is the one that probably excites me the most.
Okay.
So as you know, we're fans of Spectre. I've got versions 1 and 2, and now version 3 out for pre-order end of this month, August 25th. So and it here is probably one of the greatest changes to how Spectre has done things in the past. Spectre has always said, we are not doing PDFs ever. We're just not going to do it, because they don't want their IP floating around there out in the wild.
Right.
However, for version 3, if you buy a physical copy of the book, they will send you or link or however you will somehow get a PDF version as well. So the pre-orders, you get the physical rule book, a quick reference guide, force cards, and the PDF. So pretty much a whole starting set there. It is going to be, it's 36 pounds, so that I think it's about $47.50 ish. I mean, things change on the exchange rate, whatnot. USD. So, $47. You get the rule book. The quick reference. You get some cards and the PDF.
Yeah.
That's not bad. I'm pretty excited to see what that's going to look like. I've been kind of following along their progress on their Facebook page and their blog. Particularly, they put a lot of stuff out on their Facebook page, as well as if you subscribe to their newsletter, they talk about it. Right. So it looks like it is going to be a super interesting game, and Tuffy years. It's your money, for crying out loud. You know what I'm talking about. Although maybe it is. I don't know. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool game. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. Particularly because that's one of the games that we probably already have all the figures and all the terrain to play. We just need to see what the new rules look like and what scenarios there are, and set it up and go.
Yeah.
So that should be cool. All right. Next item for you World War II fans, if you've ever played the board game Undaunted.
Yeah. I tried to get this at Gen Con. They were sold out by Saturday morning.
Yeah. Well, now you can play it on Steam.
What?
Yes. So it's an early access game, so that means it's still kind of under development.
Nice.
But for $15.99 you can get the game on Steam. And you can play in a 2D or 3D version on Steam. So, all the stuff that the regular game does, if you're familiar with it, it's all the same thing, just in a virtual environment. So, if that's your jam, check it out on Steam. It's I think that could be a pretty big deal for folks that are fans of Undaunted Normandy.
Yeah.
You know,
No, that's
it's,
pretty nice.
you know, you see the little preview video going on there. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
1 player, 2 player?
yes. And there's a solo mode where you play AI,
Mhm.
and then you can play the regular rules.
When is it available? Is it available now?
You can get it. You can get the early access now. But
All right.
like
So
right now, you
I
can
see a
click that
video in
link.
my future.
Yeah, I was gonna say you
Oh,
can
live
literally
play.
click the link there right now and get it.
Okay.
You know, so
I'll do that after the show.
he says now as soon as he flips to the next one, he's gonna go to another screen and buy this. So it won't be the first time.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, I really tried to buy any or all of the versions of Undaunted at the Osprey booth, and they were sold out by Saturday morning. I'm like, how do you sell out by Saturday morning? Didn't you plan? Come on, people.
Or maybe they did, and you know they
Yeah,
just brought everything.
it's
they've
very
got.
popular.
It's that popular because
Yeah.
it is that popular.
To bring up some chat, let me show some stuff because, of course, you know when we switch screens, the chat goes goofy. So I'll just post it this way. So this is to anybody. So this skirmish game, like Oriskany's design rep skirmish, or is it bigger scales? Referring to Spectre.
Spectre is a 28 millimeter tabletop miniature game, and I have not seen the new rules, but generally speaking, it's skirmish. No, I don't know, somewhere between depending on which level dudes you're playing. It could be anywhere between 5 guys on a side if you're running elites,
Yeah.
up to I don't know, 15 or 20 maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah,
All
the
right.
same general command scale.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the same. It's actually the same.
They're revamping, streamlining their rules. They're adding some stuff
Yeah.
to update it from previous versions and kind of streamline things, like I said. So we'll see shortly.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of Normandy, by the way, to answer that question, yes, Undaunted Normandy is the one that's on Steam. Now, if you don't want to play a virtual game, but you're gonna have to scroll way down. There's a ton of that crap. So go
We gotta get
way
past
down to get
steampunky
to.
stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, here.
There you go. So if you would like to play on a tabletop Normandy, War Cradle Scenics this month is going to be releasing pre-order for their Normandy farm set. So you can see it on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes with a cottage, a barn that can also be built as a damage variant, windmill, some walls, and there's damage variants of the walls, farmyard scatter, a workshop, and a checkpoint. So it's due to be released at the end of August, according to their webpage. There's not a hard date other than end of August. So, in the next couple of weeks, I guess we can expect 2-3 weeks, we can expect that to be released. No pricing information was available, so I can't tell you what that's going to cost you, but it's some good looking terrain. And, if you're playing, bolt action or, one of the World War II games, in 28 mil, that looks like that is going to be right in your wheelhouse. It looks pretty good from what we're able to see thus far.
Warlord sells cows.
I was gonna say, War Cradle doesn't, but Warlord does. Cows don't die well on Tuesday.
Jen, that's not my fault. That was John Sowerby that ran over those cows. That was me. Looks like we're having a hamburger tonight, boys.
I was gonna say, sounds like they die like a champ on your table.
He had a platoon of Mark IIIs, and he just plowed it right through the cow. It's just like a decorative terrain. You don't like to take cover behind cows, but he just plowed it right over. Then he apologized. I'm like, no, run him over. I'll put it in the video.
Yeah, right.
All right.
It adds a little flavor.
Flavor. All right.
Moving on. So, if you're familiar with First Corps scenery,
I saw these.
So First Corps has been acquired or merged with Curdy's Miniatures, and they have got the IP to Battle Flag's old line of miniatures, and now are re-releasing the Old West MDF models.
Nice. These will look so good with some gunfighters ball.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so if you're doing any of the Western games, this is some
Yeah.
good looking stuff. Now they're still in the process because this is a very recent acquisition here of this IP. They're test cutting and test assembling before they release, but as soon as they get a model sorted out, they're going to release it. So there's not a formal release schedule available. They're going to go ahead and test, cut, and fit, and once they're like, "Yep, it works," bam, it's going to go up on the store.
Nice.
So that looks to be pretty exciting.
Yeah. Excellent. All right.
So for those of you that are following conventions, we were talking about some of them earlier. Obviously, the Nova Open is coming up here at the end of the month. It is August 30th through September 3rd. That's Labor Day weekend.
And
we
were invited.
There's a ton of stuff that goes on at the Nova Open, but for our primary audience here on the historical side of things, there is some historical and modern stuff represented at the show. So on the modern side, both Black Powder Red Earth and In Country are going to be there. And then there's full-on tournaments for both Bolt Actions and Flames of War and the World War II era.
Nice.
So,
yeah, we got invited by Dave Taylor. Couldn't go.
Dave Taylor?
The Dave Taylor.
Nice.
Because somebody's coming down for Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That would pick me.
Anyway, it's all good. We'll plan for next year.
All right. And then
hold on. If you want to take us to Vegas.
It's in Washington, D.C.
It's in D.C.
So,
you want to go to D.C. in the summer?
Yeah. That's
better than Iraq in the summer.
All right.
Who wants to travel anywhere right around Labor Day weekend?
We don't need that. Right? Okay. That's your news, right, sir?
It is. However, there's one. So I did some this day in history stuff. You don't put it up there. But to Jim's point, he was talking about the Battle of Kursk. So this day in 2000, the Russian Navy submarine Kursk had its little incident where it exploded.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was today, 23 years ago. So
wow.
Kursk, yeah. What happens in Nova stays in Nova. I'm not going to be there, so I don't know. But yes,
right.
that
is the news.
That is.
Speaking of Kursk, what happened in the White Sea unfortunately did stay in the White Sea.
Literally.
Oh, dang.
Good
job. Oh, wait.
Yeah, I was going to say, come on.
He deserves it.
Where's it at?
They eventually did raise her, although, there you go. They eventually did raise her, but that was like a year later just to get the reactors and the weapons back because those things start to leak and, who knows what's going to happen there.
It could potentially cause some issues. Yes. Good times, good times.
Nice.
Hello, Rob T.
Rob T. Good morning, good people. Good morning to you, sir.
So Rob has joined us, and a special shout out to Rob because yesterday was his birthday. So happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Is it 73 or 29? I don't know. I get confused, Rob. Oh, look at this guy's on it. Got the laugh track rolling.
Okay, time for the main topic. This is a good one. This is definitely going to get us either flamed or this one will definitely create some conversation. And let me say, I tried to look up a list of the most popular historical war games ever, like numbers and, whatnot. So, yeah. I can't wait for this topic. So the topic is, what is the greatest historical war game ever? Ever. Of course, if you go off of data, there's a data, but I can't find like hard, fast numbers. Can you really say, well, the most copies sold would dictate it's the most popular? Numbers that say it's been played or whatnot. So
I would almost offer, who cares if it's popular or not? Popular does not mean good. Popular does not mean great. That's usually the opposite.
So
go
good
the opposite
clarification,
direction.
Jim.
Yeah.
We're not looking at the most popular game. We're looking at the greatest war game in history.
Good to
There's a
go.
difference.
Absolutely.
Grenada, 1983, first place. US. Oh, not,
True. Very true.
I mean, your dad was there, wasn't he?
I cannot confirm or deny.
Well, if we're going by
Anywho.
that, we have to go with Desert Storm. But
Yeah, the
You know,
V8 more.
Let's
We're
just
going
say
by-
that there was some green beanies and other guys running around.
we're going by 1-to-1 scale.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to bring the chat back up the window. Hopefully, who can guess what Ariskany is going to say?
Someone already has me clocked because
I was gonna say Benny already hit it.
he's probably exactly correct.
Oh, this
Bam!
is gonna get good. All right, I'm gonna try and bring the chat up. Hopefully, it doesn't blow up on us. I'm gonna enlarge the screen here so I can see better. Okay, Chris, we're gonna start with you.
Okay. And everybody is going to be arguing and disagreeing with me, and I don't care. To me, the best game is you
Not
always
the best
remember
game,
your first.
greatest game.
Okay. For me, the greatest game was you always remember your first historical war game, and that was Midway Campaign on my Commodore 64 by Avalon Hill.
Nice.
What was great about it?
It introduced me to it. It made me interested in the history behind the battle.
Yeah.
It helped me learn how to program. You know, you'd break into the program and start changing variables and starting to do what ifs and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're the guy that originally floated the idea behind that old movie, The Final Countdown, which isn't
No.
exactly Midway, but the USS Nimitz gets warped back in time right before Pearl Harbor.
I
That's an
love
awesome
that movie.
And then could the USS Nimitz actually sink the entire Japanese Navy? The
Yes.
answer is yes.
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 Yeah.
That would have been so good if we
I was
actually
gonna
saw
say,
real
where-
combat. I
was
mean,
gonna say, where's that
I love the
director's
movie
cut?
as it is, but to be able to do the what ifs, it would be awesome.
I think they should have the director's cut where it does that.
No effect. No effect. Tough of years. All your dice are coming up ones today. No effect.
Oh,
Try again.
Oh. Ooh.
so Chris,
I made my armor save.
Here
do you still
we
play that
go.
game?
No, I do not. But I found that I can download it.
I have. If you are a video gamer person, there is a Facebook page called Retro Video Games.
Yep.
I believe it is. I'd have to look up to get the exact thing. But the guy there was a video game creator programmer. He actually was on. He worked for Sega at some point and created the Aladdin game and other classic games, arcade and home. He creates a Raspberry Pi arcade thing, and it has just about every system on it up to a certain year. And he has a Commodore 64 on there and an Amiga and all those. And the library is an extensive library. So pretty much it's probably on there.
Yeah, no, it's a DOS game. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
it's a text game.
Yeah.
It's not even graphical.
So
But
Yeah.
1980.
Marty.
All right, so I'm like the rookie in the bunch. You know, when you talk about the greatest game ever, I don't. I can tell you what I like, but I can't tell you what the greatest game ever is because I don't have that depth and breadth of knowledge, to be honest.
Mhm.
You know, so like I said, I can tell you what I like, but
Hey, KRL 43, don't laugh.
Oregon. I
was-
still play Oregon Trail.
I played 2 nights ago Starfleet The War Begins 1985, a complete text game. I had to get a DOS emulator, like one of those DOS shell things to run it on my system. God, I remember how much I used to play that game, and I was like, "What the hell was wrong with me?" Because it's literally just it's nothing against text games because they try to be graphical, but they only have the ASCII 2 text characters to work with, and I mean they do the best they can with the limitations. But yeah, those old games are great.
Yeah.
And they worked with the limitations. It's like Hitchcock,
Yeah.
working around the lack of CGI and everything, because Zork and
Zork, I was just
Planetfall,
going to say that. Yeah.
yeah, you're in a
What was
hallway.
that other game? Wizardry for the Apple?
I don't know. There's Lord British with
Oh, that was Might and Magic?
no
No. I know which one you're talking about, though. Yeah.
Ultima.
Ultima. Yes, Ultima.
Yeah. The other my second backup was Harpoon on the PC.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Harpoon was fun. It started off as a miniature / counter game, but and you could do it, especially if you had like a tennis court in your backyard, because you it was like one inch was 1,000 meters, and you start throwing cruise missiles at each other. You need like a basketball court or something to play on.
Right.
I think that game really found its home when it got to PC, and it's endured. I think they're on like 5th edition now. They still make something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have it on my phone.
That's one of the best naval games out there, especially for modern naval, because one of the things you learn instantly when you're playing that game, because normally when we get like a stat sheet for a tank or a ship or a guy in one of these war games, we're like, show me the guns. I want to see the guns. I want to see all the guns and missiles and bombs and kablooey and pew pew and all that shit.
Yes.
You play 2 games of Harpoon and you're like, where are my sensors?
Yep.
Where are my helicopters?
Yep.
I
And
want
you
to
see your
yeah.
sensor ranges.
Yeah.
And
So-
It's all about the sensors.
Yep.
There's no armor against those weapons. Yeah. We see this in once in a while we run Rory Crab's Naval Command. It's sort of like Harpoon for Dummies. We haven't played it in a while, but there are some streams in our back catalog where we played it with all kinds of stuff. Invasion of Taiwan, some sort of Singapore crisis with the Royal Navy versus the Chinese, like basically modern and near future, like what if, like naval combat.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's all about this because there's no armor, not against those weapons. Those weapons almost always hit. It's your air defense, your ECM, and your all your armor is electronic, and your real attack systems are your sensors. Because whoever sees the other guy first is probably going to be the winner.
Yep.
It's funny that one, Chris, you mentioned Harpoon, and 2, Jim, you mentioned having a tennis court to play it. So my last trip to Afghanistan, after I got done with my actual job, I ended up at a division headquarters in Kandahar, and we played Harpoon on the night shift in the TOC, and I was there for about 3 weeks before I rotated home. And I don't know, 3-4 nights a week in the middle of the night we would play Harpoon. We didn't play it on a tennis court, but we did have a conference area that was big enough that we had a 24 by, let's see, it was 3 tables wide, so that would have been 9-foot table that we played it on.
That would work. Yeah.
I was gonna say it worked pretty good. That's like the first and only time I've ever played Harpoon, but it was a lot of fun. That was a great way to kill some time.
Yeah, I bought it last year at Mr. Orcon. No,
why haven't we played it?
I mean,
when you come down, we should play it.
I don't know if it's.
I don't know if we have the time, but
it's a pretty chunky game.
Yeah,
I guess it depends on what ships you bring in. Yeah. We were trying like Iowa class battleships versus Kirov class battle cruisers, and you can also play like some of the real life stuff that happened. Like I think their introductory scenario. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. The version or the edition I played, like their introductory scenario was like a real life incident that happened in '85. Like 2 of those Libyan Osa 2 class missile boats were coming towards an American Spruance class destroyer. And the Americans, like that line of death they used to have across the Gulf of Sidra, and they were like, stop. Okay. Like they say on the internet nowadays, F around and find out. Right. Yeah, they just started launching harpoons at these tiny little Osa boats and do the math.
Nice.
And again, if that Spruance takes 1 hit, I mean, well, we all remember what happened to HMS. What was that? HMS Cole? Sheffield at the Falklands. Yeah.
Or if the boat gets, or if their little boat gets close enough, the Cole,
the USS Cole when it was in port.
And,
So, you guys ready for the world's greatest historical war game ever?
Well, let's hear your opinion.
Bring it.
It is the only opinion. If you look over Jim's right shoulder,
God damn you, Bill. I had all these notes ready to go, and now you just stole my shit.
I didn't steal it. That just means we agree. It's
No,
the greatest
absolutely.
war game ever.
And there is data to back that up. Go ahead.
So, to Chris's point, it was the very first war game I ever played with my dad. You know, my dad, my Uncle Bob were very big gamers, war gamers, historical. And I remember Uncle Bob bringing that, and then my dad bought a copy, and then we played it, and I was hooked ever since. And you know, those little stacks of your little counters all over your map, and you know, I'd see in my head the tanks rolling across the fields, and from there it just blossomed, because then you have Panzer Blitz, you have Panzer Leader, you know, Arab and Israeli wars, and everybody I knew back then played it. Panzer Blitz,
Panzer Blitz,
or Panzer Leader, you know.
Arab
So
Israeli Wars. I got most of the library right here.
yeah.
So
So
all three of the original big ones.
and I can remember, I don't remember if it was a real battle or not, but my uncle, I can't remember who he worked for, but he worked for a company where he was able to print a really big map. So we had a huge map for one of the versions, and we put it out on our dining room table. My dad used to have a dining room table we got at Fort Riley, Kansas, which used to be a cavalry post, and they're used to having really big families. So we had a dining room table that would expand out, and it had like 3 leaves in it, so you could fit like 14 people at a table. So they put out the whole thing, put out this map, and we played for, I think that it was like Saturday and Sunday we played. It's never died. You know, people still play to this day. A lot of people still play.
It's all over the conventions. I'm surprised you guys might have seen it at Gen Con.
At Adepticon, they played it in 3D.
Yep.
Yeah. So they used, I think it was Pico Armor miniatures, you know, the 3mm miniatures, and, you know, built bases, chits, and used those, and had like 3D hex terrain and stuff like that.
Kind of the way a lot of people play BattleTech. They have that where the hexes themselves stack up, and you can actually see the hills and ridges. And
yeah, so that is the world's greatest war game ever. It started for a lot of historical war gamers. That game is the equivalent to Dungeons and Dragons. You know how Dungeons and Dragons got a lot of people into playing RPGs and then further on to gaming. For historical war gamers, that game, or arguably Tactics 2, were the ones that got you into historical wargaming back in the day. Yep. You know, obviously it's different. A lot of games now are mostly miniature based, but for the greatest war game ever is that game right there over his shoulder.
That's
I'll segue to you, Jim.
That's factually kind of true. And it's not just because, you know, we love the game. The game is tragically flawed. If you play Panzer Blitz out of the box, it's almost comical. It's the analogy I use sometimes. It's, you know, it's the Model T of you know, what we think of in the hobby today as wargaming. Because I mean, a modern day Lamborghini or, you know, Pagani Roadster is going to blow the doors off of a Model T. A Model T is not very reliable. A Model T is not very fast. You can't tow anything with it. It's not very reliable. But it was the first. And in a lot of ways, it really was. And you have to remember to kind of include the whole family because, again, Panzer Blitz itself is strictly the Eastern Front, which a lot of people don't get super into, but a lot of people do. And of course, you have Panzer Leader, which introduced the Western Front, at least part of the Western Front, the classic Northwest Europe, 1944 to 45. And then you get Arab-Israeli Wars. Nowadays, you have other companies producing content for it. Multi-Man Publishing technically owns the license, but other people do publish material for it and charge money for it. And, you know, no one's going to court over it or anything like that. Toshash Miniatures, for example, created Tactical Combat Middle East, which is basically Panzer Leader for the Gulf War, both Gulf Wars. You can actually play 2003 scenarios with it as well. It started publishing in 1969, designed by Jim Dunnigan. And, you know, we throw a lot of names around here, you know, oh, this famous guy invited us here, this famous guy. We talk about, you know, all these guys. Jim Dunnigan is somebody who, you know, if you've ever played like Hex Encounter games. Jim Dunnigan is your guy.
Mhm.
They ran out of awards to give him before he retired, and when he finally did retire, they awarded him Gamer of the Millennium. So that particular award isn't up until the year 3000. I mean, he was literally like the best game designer that's ever been, and not just for Panzerblitz. He's designed tons of stuff for Avalon Hill before that. Then he started his own company. I think it was SSI, and SSI went everywhere.
Yeah.
And past that, nowadays the top guys in the field, guys like Ty Bomba and Joseph Miranda, some of the guys that publish for Strategy and Tactics, they strive to win the Jim Dunnigan Award. They renamed the Oscars after Jim Dunnigan. This is the caliber of the guy we're talking about. And people talk about famous miniature guys and whatever, and so, okay, guys who designed stuff for GW and things like that, and it's like, how come Jim Dunnigan never gets mentioned? But it's a different kind of branch of the wargaming hobby,
Right.
but his shadow looms large, and it was the first time he started coming out with it. He started off as a Tactical Game 3. He was publishing it in sort of a serialized form as early as 1969. In the I say these dates so I can actually make the case that it is objectively, especially if you're a Hex Encounter gamer. If you're a miniature gamer, maybe you'll have some other stuff, but even then I'm going to sit here and I'll die on this hill even if you're a miniature gamer, because most of the rules that we use even in miniature games, homeboy, I'm sorry, that was published in Panzerleader first, Panzerblitz first, Opportunity Fire. The whole idea that you can actually shoot in the enemy's move.
Mhm.
Like nowadays they call it AROs, like they call it that in Infinity. They have all kinds of different names for it. Reaction fire. That was in Panzerblitz first. Came out in 1969. Look it up. It's out there. And if Jim Dunnigan had a nickel for every time his game system was homaged, copied, outright ripped off, parodied, or whatever, he would be Sultan of the goddamn solar system by now. I mean, he was absolutely huge. It was the first time the game actually came out in a box set for the first time in 1971. It was the first time that you could sit there. Until then, wargaming had been kind of a thing where maybe you got some weirdos that hang out in the church basement on Sundays or like Sunday afternoons or who knows what. It was definitely like kind of like a closet, a hobby. It definitely wasn't really an industry, at least not out in like the main, commercial space. It was the first time you could go to a bookstore, a toy store, a game store in those days, and just pick something up off the shelf for, in those days, $10. And, you would literally be set for life. I mean, you could literally pay if you like. Sometimes people ask if you had to be stuck on a desert island with one game for the rest of your life. You could theoretically play Panzerblitz forever, much less if you had the whole library: Panzerleader, Arab's Early Wars, Tactical Command, Middle East. Avalon Hill was a thing before that. You mentioned Tactics 2. Avalon Hill before that had published what they called de-elimination games, or like divisional scale games, or like Defender eliminated games, where you got a nice box, I don't want to pull it down because I'll break something, but like Gettysburg, or Waterloo, or Austerlitz, or Midway, or Overlord, or Battle of the Bulge. And they would give you like some additional scenarios in there, like, oh, what if Jackson had been alive for the Battle of Gettysburg and stuff like that? Some variants, but you got one map board and one set of counters, and you could just play that same game, that same battle over and over again. Sometimes throwing in a curveball or two, but Panzerblitz was like, here's 3 map boards. Later, Panzerleader would have 4. Arab's Early Wars would have 4. Nowadays, everybody can make their own maps. But you would have like a certain number of map boards, and they were designed in such a way where no matter how you put them or rearrange them, they always matched up.
Yep.
And that sounds kind of basic nowadays. Again, 1969, 1971. This was, friggin' mind-blowing in those days. And again, any game that you buy a box set and you can say, oh, I have this box set now. I can make up any scenario I want. You owe Panzerleader $1 because they were the first people to friggin' do that. So I remember people in the General magazine. This is way before the internet, obviously. You would the Panzerblitz comes with 12 scenarios in the box, and people would play all 12 scenarios like they were reading a book. Oh, I'll start with scenario 1. That anti-partisan operation at Minsk. I know you played that one, Bill. You played it with Gaz once. And you go through all 12 scenarios, and then you get to the end of the 12th scenario, and you realize that there are counters you've never used. And people were writing the general magazine with questions, like, like ask the author kind of things, like a little column
Yeah.
they used to have in the magazine, and then be
Yeah.
like, "What's up with these? You sold us these counters, and they're not in any of the 12 scenarios." And they had to actually put this out there in writing, bro. Make up your own games, make up your own scenarios. Panzer Blitz was the first to do that, at least in a big commercial setting.
Mhm.
Again, people have been playing with miniatures. People have been playing with miniatures since the late 1800s.
H.G. Wells. You know?
Yeah, even before
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
the German general staff was doing it. Although that's not really a commercial setting, but yeah, people have been playing war games forever. But
Mhm.
this Panzer Blitz was really one of the first games that did that on a national and then global scale,
Yeah.
and made it available to the general public and introduced it to the general public again for $10 a box in those days. Now you enter into the era of desktop publishers. You've got guys like Alan Arvold, Byron Henderson, Brian Train. Again, if you're in this space, you know these names. Pat Storto, or Riskin Jim, who publishes the stuff on Consum World, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook groups. There's a guy now in the Facebook group, Gregory Chen, who creates his whole new counter set for Ukraine 2022. People have created Panzer Leader scenarios as far back as 1919. Where there's no real tank battles in World War I, but if the war had lasted one more year,
Yeah.
then you get some actual tank battles. So you can go like over 100 years. There's
Mhm.
no other game system in the world that does that.
Right.
So 1919, all the way into the Ukraine, into the future. In fact, I'm working on a scenario now that includes those new M10 Bookers that the Army's getting. It's supposed to be like one of the upgrades or replacements for the M2 Bradley. It's kind of limitless, and those are all the reasons that I say Panzer Blitz, or that I agree with you, Bill, that Panzer Blitz it's got to be up there.
Yeah.
As far as one of the best. Or no, again, Panzer Blitz, if you buy it out of the box, I'm always hesitant to actually recommend Panzer Blitz, because if you just buy Panzer Blitz out of the box and you read the rules, you're like, man, this game is kind of. Number one, it's kind of basic.
Well, okay, so
it's 50 years old.
Yeah. Well, for us mere mortals, not the Oriskany level of gods of gaming, but for us mere mortals, it's a great game.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, oh no!
Oh no!
Hold on, I'll be back.
Oh no!
Oh, cute
I
tough
had to
ears.
say the gods of wargaming, and
Tuffy ears
down
got
from
him.
the heavens, Zeus zapped them. So I don't know. It looks like your camera unplugged, bud.
I'll find it in a second.
Okay. So while we were talking, this whole thing has meatballed into something great. You ready for this, guys? Christopher,
What?
you are a PC gamer-ish mostly.
Yep.
I play PC games, but December, our last show of the year, will be our awards show. Chris, you are tasked with coming up with the award for the best PC war game. Marty, you will come up with the award for the best terrain hobby thing.
Oh, it's obviously my board. Done.
Jim,
Yep.
you will come up with the award. So what I'm asking you guys to do is come up with the criteria, and then we'll send it out to people to get some nominations, and then we will do our input. We'll, put it together and throw it on the table and see what sticks. Jim, you will have, should we say the traditional war game award?
For the previous year or something like that?
Yeah, well, this year. Anything released
yeah.
in this year or previous. Okay?
Okay.
It has to be, since it's our first year, we'll go with, let's say what is this, 23? Let's say in the last couple of years,
Okay.
So, the traditional, it could be the Hex Encounter game or whatnot. And then I'll take on miniatures. So Chris, PC, Marty, hobby terrain, Jim, traditional, and I'll do miniatures. And then for all you people out there, we need your input on this. Okay? We need your input. So we'll send out a poll. I'll create a poll where you can nominate your choices.
I'm going to make it super easy. I'm just going to take pictures of my stuff and have people vote for it.
No.
No.
That sounds kind of biased.
You know, like any good
It's not biased. They're voting for it.
like any good competition, family members are, not eligible.
Yes. Members of the Sit Rep podcast and family members and close associates are not eligible.
What if one of Jim's games is nominated?
Wait. I thought we were just like, what? Why would our people be? We're okay. Maybe I misunderstood.
No. They can vote.
Okay.
They can't win. Now, if your game,
Oh yeah, sure.
if your game gets like 1,000 votes over Panzer Blitz, then right. So, I'm just saying.
We just
Marty
don't
can't
want
say
Marty.
I'm only putting my stuff in my category and I'm winning. That's
Damn it! You people are all against me. See, that's bias right there.
I don't think anyone's produced anything new for Panzer Blitz in the last couple of years. So I think we've talked about Panzer
Isn't there a
Blitz
modern
enough.
version, Jim? Didn't somebody?
There's several modern versions, but they haven't come out in like Tactical Combat Middle East came out in 2007.
Okay.
West Atlanta Gaming Group's been coming out with it since 2000. My version came out in like 2015.
Okay.
So yeah, nothing. I mean, there's people with new scenarios. Like Gabe Chen comes out with stuff almost every week on the Facebook Panzer Blitz Panzer Leader Average Red War Facebook group.
Okay.
And his stuff's really good. But yeah, I don't know if that's like a new game system.
Okay. Toughy Years, yes, I accept it. Toughy Years will do the team's best FUBAR of the year award.
Does that mean Tough Ears has to be on the show?
Yes.
I was gonna say that's what I'm hearing.
Right. And Toughy Years, if I saw back in the comments, you're almost ready to run the RPG.
Twilight 2000.
Yeah. Nice.
Tough Years was live with us. She played not only the Sit Rep Skirmish Aliens Halloween special, but she was also in one of our HK Ops sessions one time.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So, yes.
So technically, she's been on the show before.
Yes, she has. Like I said, she's the fifth Beetle. But we won't fire you.
I would add Piotr to that list as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we got to get Piotr on.
Piotr was in that Verkopenia game that comes out tomorrow. So he's still with us.
Yeah, we'll have to come up. We're going to have to come up with some categories, and we're going to get Gaz in. He can do the best paint job.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Gaz, if you're watching this, you're hired.
Right? Yeah. Gaz, if you're watching this, Bill just assigned you homework.
That's okay. When Gas comes out, we assign him homework.
Yeah.
Here's my pile of shame. Get started.
Yeah, right.
And he returned the payment with COVID.
He did.
Yeah. The gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
Yep.
So, guys, we need to hear from you. What is the world's greatest war game ever? It's Panzer Blitz. I mean, just agree with us now.
It's that family. You do have to include like the whole family.
The family. The familia. So, okay.
In that category.
But we are going to create our own award show. Yeah, exciting news.
Now, again, it's been improved upon since then. Assault Tactical Combat is basically a much more realistic version of Panzer Leader in the modern setting. It's just a huge chunky game made by GDW. The Panzer Grenadier is a much more, I mean, their maps are gorgeous. It's basically the same game, but like hella upgraded. So the reason I kind of put it out there as like the greatest ever is that none of these games would exist without Panzer Leader, the Panzer Leader family. And honestly, that goes for a huge amount of not only games, but rules and concepts that are included in goddamn near every game that's out there now.
Yeah.
Any game where you can buy something off the shelf and create your own scenarios owes Panzer Blitz some degree of debt.
Agreed.
Someone mentioned that Jim, you would owe him money too.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, if he came out with if he had $1 for every time, good grief, yeah, tons. Take a look at our stream back feed. Yeah, you're. There's a lot in there.
Oh my god!
Always some of our most popular videos. I think our Panzer Leader tutorial is still like it's up to 7,000 views.
Yeah.
The one Verkopenia, that was a solitaire game, and that wasn't even really live on camera. That's cracked 700 views. I mean, these are huge returns for us on the Sit Rep podcast channel.
Yeah. So I have a great idea.
Again?
Yes, always.
The good idea fairy.
Right.
So we're gonna have a category for the best painted miniature. Gaz will. So that can be people that post on our Discord channel. Jim, can we create a channel just for submissions for painted miniatures?
In the Discord, certainly.
And we'll call it the Memorial Andy Zek Painting Competition.
There you go.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah. Yes.
Hey, right here. Andy Zek original. Marine, Pacific Marine, painted and gave it to me. I still have it. It's
Very
right
nice.
here.
So
by
for those of you who don't know who Andy is, Andy was a friend of Jim and I, and a lot of members of the Beast of War clan. I met him way back when. I can't even remember. I think it was during the boot camp for
it was
Team
for
Yankee,
one of the
wasn't
boot
it?
camps. It was. I'm not sure if he was there for that one. If he was, I didn't know him then. I met
Yeah.
him
You
during
met him at the bolt action one,
one
right?
of the either bolt action or no, even before that. It was like 4th edition Flames of War.
Okay.
Suetonis Paulinus is what used to be his handle.
Yeah.
After one of like the first Roman governor of Britain or something. I can never remember how to spell it. I probably just mispronounced it. But some people might know him by that name.
Yeah. So he was a genius at painting, very humble man. Just an amazing guy. Right before his passing, him and I were working on producing some videos on how to paint camouflage on uniforms. And unfortunately, he passed. So it never came to fruition. So just an amazing man, and I think what a better way to honor him and to name the painting award as the Andy Zek Memorial painting. So yeah,
Insanely fast too. I mean,
yeah,
that boot camp, his army was done. Like completely done. And some of those boot camps, you get like 20 or 20, 30, maybe even 40 figures if you include an infantry.
mm-hmm.
And you didn't get the stuff until what, Friday night? Yeah, so Friday night, by Sunday morning, his stuff was like beyond tabletop ready, done.
Yes, and he names all his figures.
Yep.
If you look on his bolt action guys, they all had names. It was just an amazing guy, just a real humble man, and yeah. So I think that is a great way to keep him in our memory and honor him, and go from there. So we all need tuxedo T-shirts for the show. Done.
Jen, great minds think alike. And I was literally thinking, I got to get me one of those.
Done. So done. All right, guys. Well, any last thoughts before we close out the show today? Anyone? No? All right. Good show, guys. So Panzer Blitz wins. Thank you. Your opinions don't count. Ours does.
In that category. Different categories, man.
Yeah. So, yes. So I love the idea that community can submit their hobby. So we will get a Discord channel set up for submissions to the Andy Zek Memorial Painting Award. Okay. And please submit your items there. So that'll be great. Okay. Now the question is, Jim, do we limit it to historical miniatures?
Our Discord has typically not really limited anybody. It's mostly a historical crew in there, so the vast majority of our stuff is historical. But we've never, people do submit a lot of Star Wars stuff, a lot of fantasy stuff in there as well.
Yep.
I say let's open it up.
Yeah, it's open, but because this is the historical channel, it's weighted.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be weighted just by the people that are in that community. But we don't want to give the impression that if you submit a historical, a non-historical figure, that there's going to be like some sort of handicap on your consideration in the contest.
Oh, well, to KRL's point, what about best scratch-built terrain? I guess we have to have another thing for that.
I was going to say, can we put that somewhere as well?
Yes, I guess we need a terrain building submission category too, Jim.
All right.
Because Marty's going to do the best terrain hobby item that you can buy, that's produced. So nice.
Yep.
I agree, KRL. So we
Yep.
are going to open it up to everybody.
Deal.
Done. Exciting news, guys.
Yeah.
Now, who's gonna?
Yeah. There you go. I like the way he thinks. I can submit to the best scratch build stuff.
Still can't win. Submit all you want.
I was gonna say if you're gonna submit best scratch built terrain, you're up against me. And stand by. Pack a lunch, my friend. Pack a lunch.
Oh, this is on.
Do this.
The Hulk Hogan thing.
Oh.
What you gonna do, brother?
All right, guys. Bush 18. Hello. Welcome to the end of the show.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining us.
Yep.
So, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We look for those Discord channels to submit your painting miniatures and your terrain, and then we will do a submission form for nominations for the other categories: PC games, best hobby terrain supplies, traditional war game, and miniatures war game, plus the Andy Zeck Memorial Painting Award and the Terrain Award. So,
Yes.
and
What
then
about-
Chris,
and-
get
and
your
don't-
laser thing done so we can make nice award plaques that we will send to those people that win.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll put the sit rep logo on it and say, you
Yeah.
won, whatever, and we'll send it out. Instead of a virtual award, we'll do an actual physical award.
We can't make it an NFT.
No.
God.
Are those things still around?
I don't know. It was make believe from the beginning. It's all
Right.
bullshit.
Yeah.
I can't believe anyone ever got away with it, to be honest.
Exactly. So, to everybody out there, thank you very much for joining us. Great group today.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
appreciate everybody's feedback, and we want to send out a special thank you to the 5th member, Tough Ears.
That's right.
But to all of you, you all are very important to this show and the success of it. So thank you very much, Rob. We appreciate you.
Yep.
I am kind of shocked that Tough Ears didn't slam anybody today.
Oh, she
Ooh, we
tried
got
to
some
slam
storms
me.
rolling in. All right, guys, I got to get out of here before I lose my internet. We have some severe storms rolling in. Thank you very much, guys. We will see you on the next show. Tomorrow, Jim has got the final episode, right, Jim?
Yep. You guys are done with Kursk,
Yeah.
and we're probably never going back to it. So
And then Wednesday
You
night
go.
is the hobby stream. So join us for hobby stream. I'm not sure what I'll be hobbying, but yeah. And then probably the next time I do a Wednesday night stream, I'm probably going to do the Undaunted. Marty, I'm picking that up as soon as we get offline here.
I'm telling you, it looks really cool.
It does. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We will
Okay.
see you in the next show.